I fell for an escort. What do I do now? I, 25 meters, am an electric wheelchair user. She, 23F, was one of those local college girls turned escort so she could pay for her education and lives locally. My first session with her was in mid-March. First thing I did when she came over, gave her a hug, then I fondled her tits. She looked weirded out and turned away. I asked what was wrong, and she said she's not used to this. I asked if it was the wheelchair. She said no, it was the cuddles, and that she loves to cuddle and no other clients or former boyfriends ever wanted to cuddle. We had a longer session than intended, and spent an extra hour talking about how we each got into our situations. Many subjects an escort would not have talked about, like children, along with basic stuff such as hobbies, etc. I offered to pay extra but she refused, so after the first session I assumed it was because of pity that she did not take the money for an entire extra session's worth of time. Second session she brought some toys because I had a hard time finishing the previous time. We cuddled before and after and I ate her out until she came. Again an extra session's worth and she refused to take the extra money. She could just as easily ask for money like the first time. She then showed me some pictures from Coachella and said you should go someday, and when I explained how difficult it is for me, and how I have no one to go to, she said maybe one day we could go together. She also showed me a picture of the trading card aisle at Target she went to when in California, after I mentioned my hobby to her, and how she told her cousin about it and he wanted to visit the trading card shop one day, and she even showed me one of his cards. Fast forward a week later she gets sick, so the weekend after, I take her out to dinner instead because she was tired. We went to dinner and she only wanted me to pay for the food itself, and not the usual money for a session plus the food. First thing she did when she started talking to me was sit down, was asked how my dog and parents were. We spent 3 hours just talking about family, careers choices, future goals. She told me about her family background and how she was a militantly kid who never stayed in one place and was really starting to like the area. She even told me her best friend's name. A few minutes after she came back from the bathroom, I mentioned how women are difficult for me because they see the wheelchair and nothing else. She said she did not mind. I replied with, well, this situation is different, and she sighed and turned her head down to the left as if she was sad. The dinner date ends. I let her take the leftovers, walk her to her car. She said she had an amazing time just talking and I told her to be my guest. She smiled and hugged me and said sure, then went into her car with a look on her face as if she was sad and conflicted, looking down to the side again like she unintentionally felt something too and was sad that she had to let go. 2 weeks later she ghosted me twice due to family issues, and I'm here wondering why would she ghosted a client unless she got confused too, and does she not need the money either way? A week passes and I realized this whole situation was weird and left her a message saying I felt something was off with the whole thing and that we should call it off because this is clearly not a normal escort/client situation anymore and we'll both get hurt. In her text back, she acted confused and said we were still good, etc. Did not hear from her for around a month after that. I was going through personal issues and wanted to spend a relaxing evening with her. Back to square one. She replied a week later giving me her condolences about my situation and how she was having trouble with her new apartment and was moving away. At this point I'm telling myself this is not normal and I should ignore her, but my emotional stress caused me to send her paragraphs of questions and asking her what exactly happened over several weeks, which I know is wrong and not healthy. The last thing I asked her is if she'd ever see me again. After I had a ton of paranoia and depression due to unforeseen circumstances, she said she'd let me know when she'd be back in the area. She never got back. I'm in the process of trying to figure out what this whole thing was. Go to the next part. Update: I fell for an escort. What do I do now? I saw her the next month, and she seemed to have some trouble walking, and was wearing super baggy clothes despite the fact that it was midwinter. I asked her if we could talk, and although she was hesitant, eventually we went out to a bar to get a couple drinks. So I drove us to the ABR and as soon as we got seated the waiter asked us what we wanted. I said 2 martinis because I remember that's what she wanted. However, to my surprise she said I don't drink anymore. I was a bit surprised by the comment, but I moved past it. I asked her, so how's it been lately? She responded, I haven't been able to do much business for the past 4 months, so I've been living with my parents, so that I can continue to afford college. She went on about how her life has been so terribly recently because she can't work, and she looked at me as if she was expecting an apology. I went the rest of the day small-talking her, but I was secretly trying to figure out what had happened. She said she had to go and she seemed particularly annoyed, so as I was walking to her car, I finally cracked and asked her why she was ignoring me, and she seemed kinda shocked. Then she said it. She said that she was pregnant with my child, and she couldn't bring herself to face me. I felt like vomiting then and there. I didn't know what to do, considering I thought to myself that I was infertile. Now it's all starting to make sense why she seemed so unstable and why she wasn't drinking. I had also put her completely out of work, and it was probably greatly affecting her grades. I have just bought all the books in existence about being a dad, but I still feel so unprepared and not ready, especially considering that I might be in a wheelchair for at least the next 5 years. I got my escort pregnant and now I don't know what to do.